Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for what was supposed to be a live reaction and player ratings live stream, but it's now just going to be a rant show because I am absolutely fuming at Chelsea, at the referee, at Tottenham, at Antonio Conte. Show some respect, you absolute clown. What? We actually play well. So it's like the opposite of last week where I was fuming about how shit we are, but we still win the game. And now I'm so happy with how well we played for 90% of this game. But the result is wrong. And the ref robbed us on 2 occasions. Cucurella literally had half his hair ripped out. And VAR doing nothing. Kai Havertz is the clearest foul you will ever... It's a double foul. First he pulls him. Then he hits him with a slide tackle. And doesn't get anywhere near the ball. 5 seconds later, they flip in score, man. I'm so triggered. But... we can talk about the ref, and we will talk about the ref. Let's not forget the fact that we fucking bottled it. I told Felix before we started this, keep the swearing out for the first 5 minutes. half a minute in, I've said fucking already. Oh, well, here we go. Bottled it. Again, 96th minute. What is this? We can't even beat Tottenham anymore. At the bridge. We can't even beat Tottenham. What is this? And I can't believe it. I'm so annoyed. I can't even put it into words. But we're joined by a new guest today, and that's exciting. So Felix, as you might know him as Felix Johnston from Twitter, or his YouTube channel, which is linked down in the description. Felix, thank you for joining us. But I assume your mood isn't that much different to mine. I'm just so triggered. I'm so triggered by everything that happened in that second half, really.
Honestly, mate, I won't swear. I'm very annoyed. Let's say it that way. Equally, I always see the funny side of this stuff. I always just laugh it off because if I don't, the old say, if you don't laugh, you'll cry, because it's so painful and it's so blatant. It's like there's no debate in any of these fouls. I have a mate who's a Spurs fan, and after one message of telling him to just stop embarrassing himself and to admit it, he was like, yeah, both goals shouldn't have counted. You can't pull someone's hair in the box. That's just, you just
Was
can't.
the Cucurella hair pull, was that on the corner that we actually conceded from, or was it the corner before?
It was a corner before. If there was a corner before, but if they'd given it how it should have been, a foul and a red card,
I'm just trying to get it right.
Honestly, man, it's a joke. And Spurs had nothing all game. I'm happy we're doing this stream so that I don't have to watch Sky Sports right now with all the pundits probably talking absolute just stuff that makes no sense. I saw Kane's post-match interview. He somehow said that they played well in the second half and their tactical change made a difference. But Chelsea, apart from maybe 1 minute spells, were completely all over them. And to lose that game, it's so obvious we're the better team. It's so obvious. And I'd rather we lost this game because we were the better team by letting ourselves down in moments. But it was the referees letting us down as usual. And I'm just done, man, honestly. So bored of it.
Yeah, it's so annoying. And as you say, we were brilliant. Other than maybe the first 5 minutes of the game, and then potentially a little bit after they made that initial tactical change when bringing Richarlison on for their left wing back Sessegnon. Other than that, we were dominating them, destroying them for the whole game. But somehow we only come away with 1 point. Con, thank you for joining us. I feel like it's been a little while, so thank you for being back after having loads of internet problems. I know. But you're back. Unfortunately, I would have wished and loved if we could just be here and have a great time about how amazing we are. And had we not conceded that 96th minute goal, that's what we would have been sat here doing, talking about how amazing we are and how Anthony Taylor tried to rob us, but we are so great that he even failed. But in the end, he managed to find a way, so that's brilliant. But Con, similar thoughts to myself and Felix, because my God, I can't even put into words how annoyed I am, honestly.
Bro, on the real, I can't remember the last time I was this annoyed. This game of football, I swear to God, bro, is so corrupt. It's so corrupt. Anthony Taylor, how's this guy still in Chelsea games, man? I know we didn't do ourselves favours. We could put the game to bed with chances, but that's blatant corruption right there. Blatant corruption, bro. I'm so annoyed, bro, because we played fantastic that game. I'm not going to lie, bro. Like you said, there's no even point doing the player ratings because I think we played well. We were miles. Anybody who has working pair of eyes will see we was by miles the better team today. Tuchel showed Conte levels. Tottenham literally did nothing for the team. It was meant to be better than Chelsea, Oh, third place Tottenham. Best front three in Europe. Best front three in the Prem. They did nothing, bro. Absolutely nothing. And, they get 2 goals. 2 goals gifted to them from officials. What do you do about that? You can't stop that. Is what it is, man. Is what it is.
It is what it is, but at the same time, it's not what it is because it's Tottenham, and I just and then people obviously want to be talking about it. in the end, even Tuchel and Conte started fighting. Like, what is that? This is like more mental than the Jose and Wenger days. What was happening? My God.
Mate, honestly, I could go through every player on that pitch I was happy with. Like, every single one. I thought were brilliant. Obviously, Havertz should have scored his chance, but even him, aerially, hold up, running after, even giving afters to Romero. Like, I loved it all. And just like, the whole game is about something else now because of the referees. It just ruins it every time, honestly.
He absolutely did. Clutch, I'm very glad to have you back on. Unfortunately, similar with Con, not in the circumstances I would have hoped for, and the circumstances that I was prepared for 1 minute before the flipping game finished. So, what do you have to say about that? Like, at least we were good, so that's already progress from last week, but then that's where it becomes the situation where last week we were bad, but won. This week we were good, but didn't win. So what's better? I still always rather have the points than the performance. But at the same time, for the next games, the performance is better than the result, if that makes sense. But what do you have to say, bro? Like, I can't even help.
Well, first, it's good to be back. And yeah, I mean, that first 45, I was, because, you know, I've been a little bit annoyed with a lot of things lately. I was like, oh, well, this is going to be good. Hey, I'm not so annoyed. We were playing really well. And we got to the next second half. We still were playing pretty well. And then I felt it was time to make some changes. We didn't. And then we had some really clear refereeing stupidity happen. And all of a sudden, they're tied with us all again. I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to get annoyed with this team again. So that didn't really help me a lot. So, but yeah, I mean, like you guys have said, we were the better team on the day. Few decisions here and there we could have probably changed, but I still think we were the better team. And it came down to moments where Tottenham, their front line never got the ball. We were bossing the game from the midfield back. Like they didn't have a chance. We smothered the front three. Reese played really well. So it was just one of those things where it's just corrupted by stupidity by the same guy, nonetheless.
We say stupidity. I mean, Anthony Taylor's just a bad ref. But who was on VAR today? Mike Dean. He's publicly known to be a Tottenham fan. Like, think about that. He's publicly known to be a Tottenham fan, and
I thought him retiring would mean that we'd get away from his stupid decisions, but now he's just gone upstairs to the VAR room now. Like,
exactly, well, he can arguably have cause even more problems for us.
Yeah,
like it's.
I mean, I don't blame Anthony Taylor fully because sometimes it's hard to see stuff on the field, but that's why VAR is there to get these clear as day fouls. And Mike Dean is useless as usual. Honestly, it's a joke.
Yeah, yeah, you make a fair point. Like, you can't probably blame Anthony Taylor for the hair pull because there's a lot going on in the box. You can't see everything as the referee. That's impossible, right? But, I mean, the first one is his fault. But arguably, even that is probably less his fault than his assistant's fault because the assistant was much closer than Anthony Taylor was. So even that is probably not even just
his assistant was useless the whole game. Do you remember? There was this one corner, I don't know if you remember, where Havertz went up to one of their players.
I mean, that was the other assistant because it was first half.
Oh, was it? Whatever. Honestly, they're both useless. Both useless.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. But I don't even know where to start. I mean, just looking at this chat is already triggering me. I've seen not a lot, but I've seen a couple of people already have a go at Havertz, and I've also seen one person have a go at Mount. Sterling was worse than both of them today. Why are you not having a go at Sterling then? Like, fair enough. Fair enough. If you think Mount and Havertz are bad, that's okay. But how you think Sterling wasn't worse than them? Like, he missed a sitter that was nearly, arguably bigger than Havertz is because, well, Havertz had to deal with the ball that was flying at him at like 100 miles an hour. Well, Sterling had the ball at his feet and he just skied it from 6 yards out, right? And he was less involved in everything than Havertz and Mount were. So why is the chat mentioning those two? I do not know. Ladies and gentlemen, also one reason for our delay why we went live so late is basically my thumbnail guy is not available this week, and the person that replaced him this week, thank you, Aaron, by the way, took a little bit longer. So everything took a little bit longer and everything's a bit messed up. And I don't have so long today either. So it's a bit of a nightmare, but we'll move on. You know what, Connor? I'll go back to you. I'm unlike yourself. I've been quite critical of Thomas Tuchel for quite a few things in the last few weeks. But today, And that's why I like being me, because I'm not hung up on things. So when Tuchel does things well, I will praise him. And today I will praise the living hell out of him, because everything he did today was spot on. Maybe aside from one of the subs later on, but we'll get to that. And that's very debatable, right? But everything was spot on. The selection was spot on. Reece James at right centre back to stop Heung-min Son. Okay, when you saw what Reece James did at right wing back then in the second half, maybe you could say, maybe it wasn't spot on. But I still think it was. Ruben Loftus-Cheek was brilliant, other than when he should have probably scored with a header. The way we switched on the ball to a back four, off the ball to a back 3/back 5, phenomenal. It worked so well. I was so happy with everything he did there today, and the players let him down. And not individuals. We can't say it's only Havertz, or it's only Mount, or it's only Sterling, or it's only him. It's only like a lot of players could have done one moment different. Jorginho could have not tried to do keepy up. He's in the box, and then we potentially don't concede. Havertz could take his chance. Like Sterling could take his chance. I mean, Ruben could take his chance. Kante could not get injured. I mean, that's after conceding in the 96th minute. The worst thing of the day was Kante getting injured again after he was so good. But Tuchel did everything right today, and the players let him down, didn't they, Con?
To be fair, you can say the players let him down a little bit, fairs, but at the end of the day, that game should have been won. We lost that. Normally, bro, I would be trying to be critical of people for missing chances, for horrible defending, and whatever Jorginho tried doing in the box. I don't know. I have to watch that again to try and even think what this guy was trying to do. And I was too cool. I probably wouldn't have brought him off in hindsight, but in that moment, I don't blame Tuchel at all, because what are you doing? But bro, I can't really fit. Bro, I'm so annoyed. I'm in my head. I can't believe you can lose a football game like that. I genuinely can't believe you can lose a football game like that in 2022 when Premier League's, how much money is in the Premier League, you know? How many people watch that league and you can see that crap? You can see Liverpool supporters, bro. Like, there's this one guy on Twitter, right? And he always bashes us when he gets a chance. And even people like that are saying that Anthony Taylor's a joke when it comes to Chelsea. Everybody can see it. Even people who can't stand Chelsea can see it. But the people who make the sort of, whoever, the FA, putting people in charge of games, they don't see it. Put Mike Dean on VAR, put Taylor at, you know, joke. Absolute joke, bro. Normally, I would try to.
They do see it. They see it. They just keep it going because they know that's what brings attention to their stuff. Like, that's a bigger problem. They know exactly. They're not blind to this. They just know that.
Next week they're gonna upload Battle of the Bridge Part 2. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And the thing is, lads, if you looked at where Cucurella got his hair pulled, look where Anthony Taylor is. He shouldn't even need VAR, bro. He's right behind it. How have you not seen that?
Like you said earlier, that you can let him off maybe for the corner one because there are a lot of things going in the box. But there was a camera angle. Literally, he was looking at it like direct, and Cucurella was going mental. And fair enough, like he was like, you can't just pull my hair. That's just honestly, it's a foul. It's a red card. Go back to the other one. He didn't get any of the ball. Both the assistant and the main ref saw it. They didn't give it, and honestly, it's a joke. And I look, obviously, this is what the media is going to focus on. But I liked what I saw from the players. I liked what I saw from Tuchel. Obviously, Tuchel, maybe went a bit far, but I like it because, like, you've got to stand up for it. It's not okay. Havertz going mental after that foul. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see him just fucking off.
Facts.
It was a foul, and you show him that it's a foul. Honestly,
100%. Like, I don't think anyone should have a go at. I mean, Tuchel is maybe. I personally think, like, obviously we don't know what did Conte do, but Tuchel clearly was like, look at me in the eyes when we're shaking hands. But they were shaking hands, and Tuchel just didn't let go of his hand, right? So, I mean, I'm a big fan of them kicking off, but the reason for the fight was still Tuchel not letting go of Conte's hand, right? But still, Conte F off. Do you know what I mean? I do see what you're saying, Con, in terms of, you don't really want to have a go at players for letting it down. But at the same time, I'm like, if we played as well as we could have done today, with as well as the base was, like in terms of how well we controlled the game, how well we played in general, if we made use of that as well as in the similar situation that Man City or Liverpool would have done, no matter how corrupt the referee is, we would have won that game by 5 goals. Like, that's how much better we were than Tottenham. But like, we shouldn't have even allowed Anthony Taylor the possibility to ruin it. And I think that was still on the players because Thomas Tuchel provided us with everything that we needed today to make sure that the referee can't even do anything about it. Clutch, do you see what I'm saying with that? Like, we just shouldn't have even let it come this far.
Laurenz, bro, 100%. Okay. I agree with you, but I'm just saying right now, I can't be I can't be open right now. I'm so annoyed. I'm really trying my hardest not to say certain things because you're on YouTube, but bro, I am so annoyed that I can't be rational right now. And everything you're saying is spot on. And tomorrow after, I'll probably do a space, whatever it is, bro. And I will say what you're saying right now. But right now, I'm just so annoyed. I am still so annoyed, bro.
I hear you. I mean, this is a player rating stream, so a little bit later we will need to talk about those things as well. But I do still see what you mean. Like, I totally understand. Some people about my Sterling comments were like, "But he got the assist." He did. I'm not saying Sterling was bad. I'm just saying
anyone plays that pass, man. Like, if you don't play that pass, reevaluate your life. Like,
yeah, exactly.
What is he going to do there?
You're a professional footballer. You're not going to get it's a 10-yard pass. Like, exactly. But at the same time, how many of our players in situations have often not played clear? The clear, easy pass at the end. Who knows? But let me quickly get to these super chats, which I haven't mentioned yet. By Indefinite saying absolutely corrupt. Both goals were after fouls. 100%. I mean, there's not even a question to be had. That's the crazy part. I mean, because we took the lead again, I think the first one is much more, well, I say VAR saw it, but yeah, no, they're equally as criminal. I can't even say anything. But the first one at the time annoyed me more because obviously it was more obvious, shall I say. We also have a super chat by Rajib. I appreciate it very much, saying, bloody Anthony Taylor, like usual, would be biased against us, not Spurs. Absolutely hate him. He cost us the game, not the players. Players did well. No, the players did well. That's true. The players did well. Just a little bit of the edge of finishing that we sometimes lack, or the edge of that last pass that we sometimes lack. That was unfortunately there again. But otherwise, you're right. We played brilliantly today. We absolutely did play brilliantly today. Let's get up that screen to start with the player ratings, because, like I say, I don't have infinite amount of time today, so we need to get going at some point. Let's start with Edouard Mendy, because he didn't have a lot to do today, but he made a great save at the very end, the corner before we conceded from the corner, even though that save shouldn't have mattered, because before that save ever happened, Cucurella had his hair pulled. So should have been, and I'm not sure what the definition of things is. If, I don't know, is just pulling hair straight red? I don't know. I have to even consider that when they made footballing rules. Did they consider men having long hair in that idea? I don't know. But it certainly shouldn't have, nothing should have happened. And he had one other good save, which was from an offside position from whichever the forward was, Son probably. But he's played well overall. But Felix, it's a bit difficult. And I know you, obviously this is your first time, so sorry to throw you under the bus. But goalkeepers can be looked at a little bit differently to outfield players. It depends on your personal preference of how you want to do that. But what rating would you give Mendy? Because I don't think we can really fault him for anything. But you could probably say for the corner we did concede. I mean, he was at the edge of his 6-yard box. So
honestly, I'd give Mendy an 8, to be honest, or even if you want to go 7.5, because he did everything that was asked for him today. Nothing he could do with the goal. I mean, even in the first goal, I don't think it's enough to call it off because that's just football and they were quite in front of him. But Richarlison was completely blocking his view for that goal. They couldn't have got there. Second goal, obviously nothing to do with me, though. I know it's a corner, but if he'd come out, he would have just dropped it. There was about 10 players in that little huddle there, and he would have just been bombarded. So honestly, he did everything he was asked for. I was scared in pre-season because he was shaky, especially with the ball, and then it started creeping into his saves. But even with the ball today, he was completely fine. No nonsense. So 8 for me. Yeah. I was happy.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I'm not sure where I'm quite going to go with the rating. I'm going to put it down as 7.5/8 for the time being. Con, what would you go for Mendy? Felix went, if I can't put the dot in the right spot. Like I say, he was perfect other than potentially could he have come for that last corner. Do you think he could have done with the header being that close to our goal? Do you think that is something to mention, or do you think it's just nothing to do with Mendy?
No, yeah, I'll give him an 8 today. He did everything he was asked. I think his distribution was really good as well today. That's been an issue with me, with Mendy at times, but his distribution was good. He didn't do anything wrong, and that last one is so crowded. It shouldn't even have been a corner in the first place, man. It shouldn't even be a corner. So, that's void in my eyes anyway.
Fair play. Clutch, what about you? Would you go as high as the 8, or would you go for something different?
I don't think he deserves an 8. Probably a 7.5 or a 7. He did really well. He didn't only had 2 saves to actually make, though. Does that really require an 8?
Well, that's the thing. This is what I get when I do ratings for Mendy or players like Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva, for example, didn't have anything to do today, but I still think he was exceptional. So it's like,
Yeah.
if I give him a 7 or a 6, you could say that I'm saying he played bad, but not really. Like, there's nothing for him to do. So if you give him a 7, that it's completely fair to give him a 7, but people need to realize that that doesn't mean he was bad or worse than other players who were high. He just had nothing to do, really. So I don't know.
I agree. Clutch, anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I'm gonna go 7.5.
Fair play. I think I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm gonna join in what Con said. Let's not try to like blame players for things or whatever. I mean, we probably will a little bit when we get to players that miss chances, but in general, let's focus on how good we were and let's take the positive things from it, because it's already enough negativity by the fact that we dropped the points, right? There's plenty of negativity there. So let's, in our positions, let's try to bring more positive than negative things. So I'm going to go along with the 8 and move on to the back 3. We'll keep Reece James to last of the back 3. Let's start with Koulibaly. My God, what a home debut. What a goal. And all for nothing. Well, not for nothing, otherwise we would have got 0 points. But all for just 1 point. Like, you know, that him and Reece James is who I feel the worst for, because especially Koulibaly, like home debut, that kind of goal as a centre-back. And then he doesn't even end up in the win. And he was phenomenal defensively. That slide tackle he had, I was like, oh my days, lad. Come on. I love it. I mean, the first 5 minutes he struggled a little bit. That's where every pass he attempted went straight to the opposition. But after that, he was absolutely incredible. Wow. What a player. I love him. I absolutely love him. What a guy. I'm going to give him, he was a centre back. I don't think he was defensively at fault for anything. I'm going to give him a 9.5.
I'd say he was
Maybe
slightly
I should
at
give him a
fault,
10.
maybe
Sorry?
possibly. Do you remember that Kane chance which he scuffed? A Kane got in between Silva and Koulibaly, so it's up to you. But I would still give him a 9.5 because I don't really care, and he didn't score. I mean, honestly, that volley, I don't think any of our players could do that. Maybe apart from Reece.
It was obviously kind of on a counter from Sterling's miss. So
Yeah.
do we blame Sterling for Kane's chance, or
I don't know. Yeah, like when I was watching it, the cameras only turned on when Kane was about to shoot because they were still
exactly. Yeah, same.
So,
you know what?
honestly,
It's fair, but
give him a
still,
9.5.
I'm going to stick with the 9.5.
Yeah.
Without that, I would have given him a 10.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 9.5. I think, like, what a goal! Like this might be genuine goal of the season contender for us, depending on.
Can
what
I give you a
other goals we
quote
obviously
quickly
score.
that Thomas Tuchel has just said, which I think you might want to hear?
Go
So
on.
apparently Tuchel was asked on the issues with Anthony Taylor, and he said, not only the fans, the players know what's going on. They all know it. So he's not hiding from it anymore, because I think before he said that there's no agenda, but it's clear.
Now, can I ask you, Felix? Because my thought on this is all well and good saying this now in hindsight. Why don't we do anything when Anthony Taylor gets appointed our games then? Like it's easy just to complain after. Why don't we complain beforehand? Like we refuse to play with this ref at this point. Because if you complain before, you can't really say, oh, we're only blaming the ref because we lost the result. Right now, that we bottle it ourselves in the 96th minute, as much as the corner shouldn't have been given, just defend the corner properly. Now everyone's going to look at it from that perspective. Everyone that's a neutral. Of course, us from Chelsea, we won't. But everything that's a neutral, we look at it like that. So I don't understand why we complain about it after the fact. Why don't we complain about before the game that we don't want Anthony Taylor as a referee? Like, surely, I swear Liverpool have had a thing where they refuse to play with a certain referee, and that happened. I mean, Liverpool are Liverpool, so I know maybe it doesn't happen with us, but like, do you know what I mean, Felix?
Yeah. I mean, that's what it boils down to, whether you literally can refuse to play. Like, the fans at least have done their part. Whenever someone tweets out Anthony Taylor to referee Chelsea versus ... like, it goes mental because people know what's coming. They did it for this Tottenham game, and guess what? We were all right. But you're right. It's not us that need to do anything anymore, unless we're not going to protest for an Anthony Taylor refereeing game, are we? I mean, that's a bit much. I feel like the club, now we're under a new ownership. Hopefully Bowley's seen that. Someone from the PR department come up with some evidence of past games to show to him why we should be going to the FA and saying, this guy cannot referee our games. It's a ridiculous amount of decisions now. Like, it's not a coincidence anymore that every game Anthony Taylor referees against Chelsea, he makes a stupid decision. And like, we need to do something because we can't keep letting points go past. Every point matters this season. If we want to challenge for the title, which I don't think really is an option right now, but even if we go for top 4, like if you look at the top 4 race last season, 2 points dropped at any point in the season would have affected who got into the Champions League. This matters. It really matters. And from this game, while I was watching it, my whole thoughts were that we're playing exceptional, right? And I really want these 3 points. However, we can't forget that Chelsea still need to buy a lot of players in this transfer window. In Fofana, De Jong, and other players like that. We still need a DM, maybe a backup running back, depending on Loftus-Cheek. So go in the middle of this game, I was literally thinking to myself, I hope, even though we've got this win, Chelsea fans don't forget that this squad, the team is always perfect. That's why we won a Champions League. We're a cup team. But the squad is not good enough. And we couldn't even get away with the 3 points. That was my problem. I was like,
especially when our midfielders keep falling over injured. Like,
Yeah,
Kovacic is out,
sorry.
Kante is now out. Like, there's a serious issue.
People won't focus, but honestly, first of all, Kante and Kovacic are out, and they're going to be out again. I promise you, about probably 5 separate times this season. They're going to keep getting injured. Who are our midfielders right now? We've got Jorginho, who's fine. Jorginho, you know, he works in that midfield. Loftus-Cheek can't play in the pivot. Conor Gallagher, most of the time, can't play in the pivot. And then we've got Ethan Ampadu, who for some reason the manager refuses to play ever. Which
He doesn't even have a squad number, does he?
Exactly. So it's like, we have Chukwuemeka, who apparently was meant to come in for first team minutes, but doesn't even make the bench. Like, this midfield is paper thin. We should bring in De Jong and we should bring in a defensive midfielder. Like, it's not good enough, honestly. We are.
I mean, it's not paper thin if they didn't constantly get injured, but they do constantly get injured, which is not the problem.
Like, everyone
because
knows,
you're like, when they're fit, we have way too many, but then they're constantly injured, and then we don't have enough.
But like, everyone knew, you're right. And even Jorginho himself, he always has this overload problem because Kante and Kovacic get injured. He has to play every single game. Like, honestly, the Kante getting injured, and it's a hamstring, so he'll be out for a while, or like at least a couple of weeks. It really ruins us. I mean, who do we play against Leeds? I don't know. Jorginho and Loftus-Cheek.
Gallagher and Jorginho. Well, what other choice do you have?
But like, mate, that we saw that if it didn't work in pre-season against some random American club, it's not going to work against Leeds. Like this squad, it's so bad.
I'd hope we'd just play a bit better.
Honestly, I have an idea. My best idea, honestly, would be, which is what I was saying before he brought Gallagher on. Even though Gallagher was actually pretty good, he got in quite good positions. Is to put Reece James in midfield and just start one of Chalobah or Silva, Chalobah or Aspi next game, and put Loftus-Cheek at wing back. Because we can't play any of those. For me, neither Loftus-Cheek or Gallagher should ever be seen in a pivot. And it was interesting to see Gallagher's cameo today because I thought he was really, really good. If it was a whole 90, it wouldn't have worked because he would have been out of position. But him pressing from the front, like this formation doesn't fit him. But considering we're in this formation,
he did what Kante does, but he doesn't quite have the ability to get back as much.
He doesn't have the positional awareness that Kante has, but also he's just naturally further forwards, I think. I know Kante goes forward, but he's a bit more naturally further forward. So I think, honestly, we're going to have to it would be better for this whole squad to move towards a 4-3-3 if we actually sign a DM. But considering that's not...
A million percent.
Yeah.
But let's see if I manage to do
that.
Let's take it back to the centre-backs, though, because we'll get to the midfielders anyways. I said 9.5 for Koulibaly. What would you give him?
9.5. Easily. Fair. Honestly, I'd give him a 10. Like, I love the guy. Well, and I feel bad because I said on a video recently that I would have preferred to keep Rudiger, which I stand by, but I still love the guy. Because I think
I'm happy. Rudiger's rotting on Madrid's bench and we have Koulibaly. I'm well happy. Fuck off. Do you know what I mean? If you didn't want to wait, unlucky lads. Now have fun on the bench. Clutch, 9.5, a bit too high for you? Would you even give him the 10? What do you think?
I'd give him the 9.5. I thought he was really good. Defensively, really good. And he had a great goal, so I'd give him a 9.5.
Fair dues. Con, would you go for the 10 or do you think 9.5 is fair for Koulibaly?
Yeah, I'd give him a 9.5 as well. Yeah.
Fair play. You know what, Con? I'll stick with you. Thiago Silva next to him. Equally as impressive. Like, especially the 1 or 2 moments where Spurs had counter-attacks and he was kind of had to deal with a couple of them, not fully on his own, but a lot of it. And he dealt with it so well. The amount of headers he wins. Kane was nowhere to be seen until the 96th minute, unfortunately. Nowhere to be seen. Thiago Silva was phenomenal. What would you give Thiago Silva? As high as Koulibaly, or does it have to be a bit lower because he didn't score?
Yeah, I'll give him a 9, just because he didn't get a goal. But once again, he's fantastic. It's a fantastic baller, bro. Killer Vescoli trying to take him on 1v1. Yeah, you ain't got the facilities for that, mate. Yeah. Nothing you can really do.
Yeah, no, fair play. Fair play. I would probably agree. Clutch, would you agree or would you go a tad lower than that?
Yeah, give him the 9. I should probably use the same thing as Mendy, but I don't know what I would rate him, so I'm just going to go with the 9.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Go on, Felix. What would you give him?
I'd give him an 8, to be honest. Only because I feel like he was excellent, just like Mendy did everything that was asked for him. And, it's no coincidence that Harry Kane did absolutely nothing this game because Thiago Silva tracked him. However, I feel like we're going to get on to other players in this team, specifically the guy to the right of him and the guy to the right of that guy also, who, if we give Thiago Silva a 9, we're pushing on to giving those players a 10. And I don't like giving players 10 unless it's truly hat tricks. So I feel like for the balance of the thing, I'd give it an 8.5 or an 8. But, I love Thiago Silva, so I don't mind.
I think that's very logical thinking. You can't disagree too much with it. Let me just, before we get to Reece James, explain why we're going to be so high of praise for Reece James. So while our base lineup was this, and particularly off the ball, we started the game like such. What we really played when we had the ball was kind of the 4-4-2, sorry, that we used against Arsenal in the first half in that preseason game, which backfired so badly. But this time we just filled it with proper players and didn't have Emerson playing centre back for some reason. But basically what we did was this. Reece James and Cucurella as the fullbacks, and Reece James went high as a fullback. He wasn't a defensive fullback kind of centre-back. We basically played like this, and it was phenomenal. Obviously, Mount was a bit more central than Ruben, and maybe Sterling sometimes came a little bit wide. Then it was sometimes a little bit of this situation. But essentially, we kind of played like this. And my God, were we good. And my God, was Reece James good. I mean, Heung-min Son had no sniff of the game. Have you ever seen Heung-min Son subbed off? I feel like I've never seen Heung-min Son get subbed off. And he got subbed off because he just did nothing. He had one counter-attack, and Reece James, had none of it. Just pulled him down, yellow card, take it, everyone was happy. His cross, which Havertz missed, I'm still baffled how he got the cross around Son. What a cross. And then the finish as well, no faffing about like Sterling, no faffing about like Havertz, no faffing about like Ruben on one or two occasions, maybe could have gone for a shot. No faffing about like Mountain and Gallagher had in a situation as well. He just smacked it home. He's just absolutely blasted it home. And wow, what a player. What a player. I was so unhappy with him last week, but how he played today is why I was so angry at him last week. Because I know he can play like he did today. But he still played like he did last week. And he was, compare Reece James last week to Reece James today. You could, if you were blind, you would not believe for a second that those were the same people. It's ridiculous how much better he was this week. And that's why, like I said, that's why I was so annoyed at him. I mean, you made a fair point a minute ago, Felix, in terms of, you don't want to give out 10s, but I feel like Reece James warrants a 10 today. I feel like
what's funny?
Obviously, he wasn't single-handedly that he stopped Spurs' attack, but he did a lot of that. And he scored what should have been our winning goal, and he played the cross for what at the time should have been our winning goal, or the winning assist from him for Havertz's goal. I don't think he can, it's possible for him to play much better than he did today, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. So I think he fully warrants that 10. I know you said you don't want to give them out, but do you think he warrants it today?
No, I want to. And what's funny? I want to see if there's ever been a player before that you've or other people have given a 10 to and have also scored an own goal in a game. Technically, he scored an own goal at the end of the game. So, honestly, what a performance. I commented on Goldberg put out a tweet 5 days ago being Reece James only 22. And I commented, I was like, I've been really disappointed with Reece in preseason and in the first game, but I'm not worried at all because he's Reece James and his mentality and talent is unmatched. And I was proven completely right, just like everyone else knew, that this guy may have had an off preseason and an off first game, but this performance, have you ever seen such a balanced performance? The first half or first 60 minutes of the game locks up one of the deadliest wingers in Prem history, to be honest, in Son, and then just casually moves to right wing back. That chance created for Havertz, honestly, that burst of pace, but combined with that crossing, and then the goal with that positioning, he did everything. He did every single part of the game. I love it. I love the guy. And if that doesn't get a 10 rating, I don't know what does. Ridiculous.
There you go. Con does unfortunately need to leave. I'm not sure why he needs to leave, but if he needs to leave, he needs to leave. So Con, thank you. No worries at all, of course. If you, I don't know, if whatever is the situation, you fix it and you want to come back on, of course you can. But yeah. Oh, it seems to be your dog. So please take care of your dog. Make her be well. And thank you for coming on. We'll see you soon, bro. I'm not sure if you're gonna talk, so I'm just gonna remove you from the thing. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, Conor had to leave. 40 million bid for Gordon and Everton. We actually bid. It's confirmed that we made the bid.
What?
We are mental. No.
Actually bid.
How can that be? How can that be what we do after what we saw today? I mean, maybe we just want more divers so we get more refereeing decisions. Maybe that's the plan. I don't know. But that's what he is to me, a diver, and that's it. There's not much else there. But
where did you see that we bid for him? I can't see
the
that
chat.
anywhere.
I've not seen it anywhere else. That's why I'm
I've
kind of
just seen
questioning
that.
whether it's true.
Bloody hell! I mean, he's a good player and he fits the front three at right wing, but he's also Anthony Gordon. We should be doing much better than Anthony Gordon. We don't need him.
You really should. I do kind of rate as much as Tuchel and Conte kicked off completely. They both seem to kind of talk it down after the fact, and they're like, "Oh well, it's not that big a deal." So
it's annoying because I love Conte so much. Before he went to Spurs, he was one of my favorite managers ever. But
he sued us, bro. He sued us.
I know now, but I think it's a bit far after today. That sealed it for me. Going to Spurs already sealed it for me, but this was the nail in the coffin. I don't like the guy anymore. Honestly.
There you go. But Clutch, now that we don't have Con anymore, can't ask him if he would give James a 10. But we've given James a 10. Would you agree, or do you think you need a little bit more to give out the 10?
I mean, he probably should have had an assist too, shouldn't he have? I mean, can't do much more else. I'd give him the 10. He's pretty good today. I mean, this is what you expect out of Reece James, who is our best player, probably by far. And today he finally showed it again. So that's what we need him to keep doing.
100%. That's exactly what we need to keep doing. 100%. Let's go on to the other side. Mr. Debutant, or full debutant. Obviously, he gave his debut last week, but today was his first start at left back / left wing back. What player? I've tweeted this during the game. Going from Marcos Alonso to Marco Correa is probably the best and biggest transfer upgrade Chelsea have made since going from Fernando Torres to Diego Costa. And I love Fernando Torres, mind you. But in terms of ability and actual output for Chelsea Football Club, it was a huge difference in terms of who was the striker for Chelsea. And that's what he felt like having Cucurella instead of Alonso. Now, was he inch perfect? No. But the difference, you can give him the ball, even with 17 players around him, he's not gonna lose it. Or lose the ball maybe sometimes, but he's not going to lose his head and do something stupid. He's going to try a useful pass. The way him and Mount or him and Havertz on one occasion played themselves out of pressure on the left side, I was like, oh my days, this is why I've been saying Alonso's been so shit for all these years. And so many of you have been telling me I'm wrong. Now just watch Cucurella play. Watch it. And tell me Marcos Alonso has ever in his whole life done that. Tell me, please. For the love of God, because he hasn't. I think I'm going to give him an 8. Very high rating still. I just don't think he was quite as spectacularly good as even Thiago Silva and Koulibaly, but he was still very, very, very good. Clutch, were you happy with Cucurella's first start for Chelsea?
Yeah, I think there's a night and day difference between him and Alonso. I mean, he has the pace to do a lot of things. I've seen him get caught a little bit high up and still come back and catch up and stop the counter. So there's multiple times. I mean, he could have had a little bit better game offensively, but not much more you can do. I mean, that's the level we need to be at. And I think Ben Chilwell needs to be kind of fearing his place because Cucurella looks like he's going to be the guy for the next couple of years.
Absolutely. And people forget. I mean, we paid a lot of money, sure. Well, it's not 62 million as everyone is trying to make you believe. It's 55 million and potentially 62 million. Although, if you play more regularly, it will probably end up being 62. But still, he's only 24. And I feel like people ignore that not only did we sign a very good player, we also signed a player that should still get quite a bit better than he is right now. I'm very, very happy. But Clutch, the last thing, did you agree with the 8 or would you give it something different?
Yeah, I'd go with the 8.
Fair play. Felix, take it to you. Would you go along with the 8? And how happy were you with him in comparison to, well, a certain other individual that's played left wing back too many times for this club?
No, absolutely. An 8 is perfect because I think he was very good, but he wasn't like that different level that Reece James was. He was just very solid. For me, it's his passing, his crisp passing, honestly. He connects the play so well. I can tell him and Mount are going to have such good connection. I'm sure we'll get on to Mount, but that pocket he was picking up, it was just creating so many passing lanes for our team. And mate, that corner, I mean, we saw Reece James swinging about 15 corners at Goodison Park and none of them did anything. And then in his first corner, we score. So I was very happy with him. And as you said, Alonso's a cult hero, but bloody hell is Cucurella a much, much better player than Alonso. Like he's so much
Exactly.
better. Yeah.
Exactly. I've just taken the lineup, I suppose, off the screen for a second, just to quickly talk about this hair pull scenario. As we're talking about Cucurella anyway, we should probably talk about this. Like, I mean, obviously, I would love to show you guys the video because it's much more obvious in the video, but rather not get copyrighted, and I will. We've tried that once before, showing a 2-second clip, got copyrighted straight away. So we're not doing that again, but we can show you the still frame. And as you can see his hand there, you can see that it's grabbing his hair. You can literally see Cucurella giving in. I'm not sure if you guys have ever been pulled on your hair. Probably more likely as kids, as later in life. Other than when you've asked for it, so then you're probably not doing that. But you can even see the way Cucurella goes down. That's how you go down when your hair is pulled. And VAR stopped the play to look at it. I was thinking, are they stopping it for a handball? There was no handball anywhere to be seen. I didn't even notice it in the replays, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But VAR stopped it. They saw it. Well, that's what I assume anyway. And did nothing. Like, I mean, on the one hand, I will say that is a problem that happens when you have long hair. I've genuinely, for attackers, I've thought about this before. I'm like, because I think I remember a United game with Maran Fellaini when he was still playing for them, and he got his hair pulled, and he pulled it so hard that like he fell over and he stopped the counter attack for them. I'm like, if he just had short hair, the guy would have never been able to pull on him. Because I don't think the guy would have been able to reach his arm in that position. So I was like, maybe not the best idea. But that, like, no, you should be able to have whatever flipping hair you want and not just referee's blindness and ignorance and stupidity allow players to take advantage of you having long hair and fouling you like that. Like, it's crazy. Like, how? Like, what is the explanation? Like, I keep talking about this, or I kept talking about this on Twitter. In Germany, they started now interviewing the referee. I'm not sure if after necessarily every single game or if only something somewhat controversial happened. But for example, there was a late penalty given yesterday between Hertha Berlin and Eintracht Frankfurt. And the ref took it back, even though it was not a clear and obvious mistake. It definitely wasn't. But the ref gave it, said in his interview, yeah, I decided I wanted to look at it again. It's not like they told him, you know, in his earpiece, go look at it. He was like, nah, I need to see that again. He looked at it for a minute and 30 seconds, all the different angles, and then took the penalty back. It was definitely not a clear and obvious mistake. Like, you could give it as a penalty, what he was given. It was probably soft, though, and you definitely don't have to give it. And the ref just took it back and said after the fact, well, I'm not giving silly penalties like that. There was not enough there. The guy didn't fall over because of the contact, even if there was contact. Not a pen for me. And he gave an explanation, and it made sense. And what do? No one will ever see anything. Thomas Tuchel said it post-game as well. Tuchel and Conte are now banned for the next game because they got a red card. But who is at fault for everything that happened? Anthony Taylor and his team.
I actually don't think
Anthony Taylor will referee another Premier League game next weekend. And Tuchel said it as well. I won't miss the next game. The referee won't. And that's where the problems start, because if just the first goal is given and the referee makes a normal decision, the whole kicking off thing that started never even happens, because that's where everything started. And not only, by the way, was the clear foul on Kai Havertz, Richarlison was also offside. Like, he was clearly obstructing Mendy's view of Hojbjerg's shot from an offside position. That is against the law, the rules. And VAR or the referee or the linesman did nothing about it. So the only reason everything kicked off between Conte, between Tuchel, between the players, between both sets of benches, is only because of the referee. And the referee goes on next weekend as if nothing ever happened. But our manager is suspended. Brilliant. Like, there's not even much more to, like, that. I don't even have a solution anymore at this point, because referees retire like Mike Dean, and like Felix said, we don't get rid of him. He's just in VAR now. So how will anything ever get better until, I don't know, we need a Hogwarts for referees. That's what we need. We need to just send 10-year-olds, just send them to a special school to be a referee. And hopefully they'll become proper referees then, because whatever they're doing in England certainly is working to produce good referees. But Felix, like, what do we do about this situation? Like,
well,
whether it's Anthony Taylor having it out for us.
When you have a job, and you do bad in your job, you get fired, right? What's the parameter for a referee getting fired? Do they have to, like, not have the fitness to keep up with the game?
You know, Boris Johnson never got fired. He had to quit himself. So in England, people don't get fired if they do a bad job.
It's clearly not about the decisions that they make, because that's the only thing that a referee really has to do, apart from literally just keep up with the game. And no matter how bad the decisions are, they don't get fired. So I don't know how many times Anthony Taylor can keep doing the same thing. It's unanimous now. It's not just the Chelsea fan base saying Anthony Taylor is screwing us over. As Con said, this Liverpool fan who I saw on Twitter always bashes us, said, you know what? I understand what Chelsea fans are on about now. They aren't just lying. This Anthony Taylor guy has an agenda against them. And it's clear as day. Or don't sack him. Just don't put him in charge of Chelsea games. It's not that. Honestly, what Chelsea need to do, they need to lodge a formal complaint. And I don't know if they've done that before, but like a genuine formal complaint that this is too far. However, I feel like Tuchel and Conte getting at it on the sideline will allow the FA to defer from the actual reasoning behind what happened on the sideline.
They will probably give us both clubs fines for not controlling their players and their managers, and we'll both have suspended fines and all sorts of things. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. That's how they will deal with it.
Yeah, no, it's literally, it's like, it's hard to say, but it's almost like a dictatorship where like the FA just like, no matter what happens, you're the one who gets in trouble. Like, well, we're just going to keep churning this out, keep churning out terrible referee performances, and somehow you're going to get in trouble for speaking the truth about it. Like,
it's like police in America, literally.
Honestly. And also, like, and then they profit off the fighting. They post it on all their social medias. They do this Battle of the Bridge 2.0, as you said, but then we get the fine. Like, how about just referee a game like it's meant to be refereed? And I'm not naive. I'm not saying refereeing is easy. I'm allowing some wrong decisions, which is why I don't go after every other referee. The only referee that every Chelsea fan consistently bashes is Anthony Taylor, and there must be a reason for that. Like everyone gets annoyed at separate refereeing decisions, but this is consistent, and they do nothing about it. I don't know what to do. I'm not on the board of Chelsea, so I don't know what they're able to do, but they have to do something. And I hope that the only thing I'm scared of is that Marina, Buck, and Czech are gone. So like, they've been there for a while. They would have been more likely.
They're the ones that would know who to complain to.
Exactly. Like Bowley wouldn't want to ruff up any feathers. He probably doesn't realize the history that Taylor has at Chelsea because he wasn't watching us before. So I don't know. I hope someone tells him.
But Bowley seems to love to spend money at the moment. So maybe it's just like, FA, here's a donation of £100,000. Never let Anthony Taylor referee for Chelsea again. You know, maybe we'll go that way. But when I see that, what Gary Milburn has put in the chat here, Graham Souness and Jamie Carragher sitting there post-game, and I think you Felix said it before we even went live. Them lot were sitting there. These are pundits. These are former players saying the officials had a good game. Like, sorry. How can you, like, do you have eyeballs? Like, how can you watch millions and millions of replays of that foul on Kai Havertz? Millions and millions of replays of that hair pull on Cucurella, millions and millions of replays of Richarlison being well offside and clearly obstructing Mendy's view, and then sit there being paid hundreds and thousands of pounds every year to be one of these fancy Sky Sports pundits and say the referee had a good game? Like, because the FA surely doesn't have the money to pay off people like Jamie Carragher and Graham Souness. These people aren't paid off. They're just stupid. They're just stupid and blind twats. That's what they are. Like, get in the bin. Like, what is this? Like, people say, oh, TV, like, you pay, what, 30, 40, whatever pounds you pay it per month for Sky Sports. And then 90% of people watch random YouTubers anywhere, whether it's us or somebody else. Because these lot, they're like, we are fans. We're not supposed to be perfect and supposed to know everything. Jamie Carragher, Graham Souness, they're former top players. They're supposed to know this. If we get something wrong, we get something wrong, we're just fans. But they're supposed to know it and see it and understand it. Like, we're only watching at home. I have one screen. These pundits at Sky, they sit there throughout the game, post-game, at halftime, 17 different screens, watching replays, everything, so they get their analysis correct and can obviously do everything. They have hundreds of screens to look at, hundreds of background people working for Sky that they can say, can we just make sure that whether the ref got the decision right here so we know what to say in hindsight and everything? And no, Liverpool pundits expect any better. No, I don't. But what I expect better is not those pundits not to be the pundits for the Chelsea versus Tottenham game in the first place.
Well, that's the problem that people say all the time. That there isn't. I don't know if Mourinho said this specifically. Obviously, he has his famous quote of, you know, everyone's against Chelsea as a campaign against Chelsea. But the main problem is that there's no Chelsea representation on these pundits. Like, there's all these ex-players, they're all Liverpool, United. There's no.
Yeah, we just need Jose to retire and go to Sky Sports.
Honestly, man, like he did it. He did it for one game. I remember Chelsea United, and we lost 4-0. So it was the wrong game to.
And he said, he's not sure whether our team is ready. And to be fair, he was right. But
honestly, if that was Liverpool or United, like the outrage, Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, they'd all be going crazy at the referees. But because it's Chelsea, they can just throw it away and just be like, "Oh, what a great game! That's all we should focus on." It's not, though, is it? Yeah, it's not. It was terrible officiating.
It is. I've just found something, and I can't even put it into words how funny that is. That I said that earlier, and it's taken this long. Like, how predictable are these people? We already have Battle of the Bridge Part 2. Like, literally, Sky have
No way.
already deemed it that. Like, it took them half an hour, and they've already deemed it that. Like, what
Oh,
the?
God.
What? Just fuck off.
Mate, they love
honestly.
it. They love it so much. They build this all up on purpose, and no one stops them. I don't know what anyone can do at this point. Because the problem is with football too, is like if you're in a shop and they keep raising the prices, you just won't buy the product. If they keep having these terrible officiating, I'm still going to watch Chelsea no matter how bad the officiating is. It's inelastic, the demand for football, because everyone's going to keep watching it. So they have no reason. They're not going to lose viewers by having terrible officiating and doing the Battle of the Bridge Point 2. In fact, they'll have more because rival fans love it because it's interesting for them.
Exactly. No, 100%. So I'm just getting up another tweet now where you can clearly see how Richarlison from an offside position is obstructing Mendy's view. Where, like, even if you somehow mind-bogglingly thought Havertz wasn't fouled in midfield, even though everyone knew, it's offside anyway. Like, Clutch, what is your reaction to all of these referee howlers? Like, at some point, it just becomes ridiculous, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it
Like,
is,
look at
I
it.
guess.
How much more obstruction view can you do?
Not much, unless he's in his face with a blindfold. No, I mean, refereeing decisions they're always something that's like there. Like, it seems to cost us a lot more when Anthony Taylor's our ref. It does seem that way. It's just like, I'm not surprised it does that. At the beginning, you also said we didn't do ourselves any favor by not killing off the game, by not doing the things we needed to do. And then things like this happen. And, I don't know what more to do other than, like, Chelsea's got to do something about it. Like, you can't just keep going on hoping that it changes. Because if you do the same thing over and hope that it changes one day, I mean, that's literally just the definition of insanity. 2 goals that should have never happened. I mean, who knows what would have happened if this goal didn't count because of the Havertz foul or even the offsides intervention for Richarlison. Who knows? Do we go on to win that game 1-0? Does something else happen? Who knows? It's just, there's a lot of factors that go into it. And for me, it's just, we need to win the game first and foremost, so referee decisions don't come into play.
Yeah, 100%. And like we touched on earlier, we were so good in the first half. In the first half, there was no refereeing problems. In the first, no one had refereeing issues in the first half. In the first half, we should have just put the game to bed. We could have easily been 2-3-0 up by half time, and then the game's done. But we failed to do that. So that's where the players come back into where I'm like, well, we should have won. And we shouldn't have even allowed the referees to screw it up for us. But because we screwed it up first, that allowed the referees to screw it up for us. But we need to actually move on with this. Otherwise, we'll never get done with anything. Clutch, please remind me. Did I already ask you for a Cucurella rating? And if so, was it an 8 or was it something else?
You did, and it was an 8.
There you go. You believe this is true?
Can I just say something? Right. I couldn't watch the video because I couldn't play it out loud, but I've just seen, Expressions, the Spurs content creator guy, like shouting at a screen, like gassing it up, going up against people. I saw the Spurs players like going over to their fans, pumping the crowd. They do realize they didn't win, right? They drew the game. We both came away with the same thing. Like, how are they happy with that? They were completely played out the park and they didn't even win the game. So how are they even celebrating this? They should be ashamed, honestly. Crazy.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. By the way, this Gordon news seems to come from Sky Sports. They said, breaking, Chelsea are interested in signing Everton forward Anthony Gordon. One source says they've already made a £40 million bid. And then Simon Phillips has quoted it saying, I believe this is true. We are mental and so full of praise for Thomas Tuchel today. And now he's apparently sanctioned a move for Anthony Gordon. I'm like, sorry, you've ruined it all for yourself again. And now I'm going to be annoyed with you again. So, you've ruined it. Well, let's move to the midfielders. Jorginho. Now, he had one big error very early in the game, which thankfully Thiago Silva and Reece James in combination stopped and, just stopped Heung-min Son on a counter-attack. And then he obviously had this weird moment where he tried to kind of play keepy up. He's in the box, But see, what if I'm totally honest with you, and I don't know if either Clutch or Felix can remind me or explain it to me, because how did the ball even end up with him in that position? Like, did he win it back first? Because I feel like he was always, the reason why he did this keep you up with thing was because he didn't really have anywhere to punt it to, because he had a Spurs player to his left and a Spurs player in front of him. So
I think
as much as it was a mistake, what could he have done differently? If I remember it correctly, and he had a guy in front of him and to his left, where can he punt it? Because if he just randomly hits it, that could go anywhere. And if it bounces to the wrong player, everyone will say to him, why don't you just pass it properly? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's like, you can't just punt it if you're closed down with one to your left, one to your right, each less than a yard away from you. But what I don't really know, how did the ball actually get to him? That's the part.
Well, the thing was, it came in the box, and I think someone headed it, and it landed to him. But he did have enough space to punt it. It was like the players that were in front of him were like a good meter in front of him, and they were in front of him and to his left. He could have played it to the right, but obviously he's a possession player, and he tried to keep possession, and he should know in the box you can't try and do that. And it's annoying because I thought he was excellent the whole game, but he didn't cost us the game, but like he made a huge mistake. So I think you have to give him a 7 or something. But if it wasn't for that, even 7's quite high. If you think of 6 as average, like he did have a huge mistake that cost us the game, but he was so good during the game. Like without that mistake, I would be giving him a 9.5, honestly, or a 9. So for me, it's a 7, but yeah, it's a shame.
There you go. And I agree. And I probably, like, I usually tend to, for bad mistakes, take like a point off, and for kind of mistakes, I take like half point off. So I'm still going to give him an 8, you know. I would have given him a 9 otherwise, I reckon. I'm still going to give him an 8. But with you, obviously 7, we put it at a 7.5 for the time being and see what Clutch goes for. What do you think? How would you, number one, how do you think he played overall? And how would you then weigh that mistake against the rest of the performance?
I think we controlled the game for 90% of it, and that was mostly him. He was turning in the midfield. I remember multiple times that he just spun somebody and drove the ball forward. He had the quick cross to Ruben that Ruben just narrowly missed with a long ball. And I mean, that's like I said multiple times last year. Jorginho at his best is able to pass the ball forward and in between the lines. And today he was at his best. He just unfortunately made a mistake.
Did either of you guys find it a bit strange that he was subbed off straight after? Like I know he made a mistake there, but I feel like he was very good otherwise. So I feel like in that, especially because it ended up with Conte being injured 2 minutes later. So that's why, in hindsight, obviously Tuchel can't know that. I understand completely. But the fact that we took Jorginho off in that situation and then Kante had to come off meant we all of a sudden had a double pivot of Loftus-Cheek and Gallagher, which obviously wasn't exactly ideal to finish the game off. If we just had Jorginho on still and then brought Gallagher on for Kante, or brought Aspi on for Kante and, you know, had Ruben in the middle, things would have been much easier. Tuchel said Jorginho was tired. Okay, well, that case, fair enough. If that was the case, fair enough.
I mean, it's very hot too. I think Tino Andrew went off yesterday for Huddersfield because apparently he felt dizzy. So clearly the heat is quite bad for the players. But I don't know, man. I don't know. He's not like he's running at 100 miles per hour the whole game. So I think
he's also Brazilian born. Like, surely he should be used to it being hot.
Exactly. I don't know.
Like, you're not from Norway. I let you off if you like. If Erling Haaland is like, I'm a bit hot. I'm like, fair enough. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're from Norway.
I'd go with the decision more if Reece James hadn't done what he did after going to right wing back with that cross and that shot. It facilitated Reece to go to right wing back, which is why I don't really care that he came off. But aside from that, I don't really understand it. And Kante getting injured 2 minutes later, it was like, well, you should have waited a bit. Anyway, yeah, there you go. I mean, he should have had Anthony on the bench. But anyway,
potentially, to be fair. Clutch, I'm not sure if I'm just being silly and not listening to you properly, or did you give me a rating for Jorginho in the end?
No, I'm going to give him an 8.
An 8. Probably going to leave it at 7.5 regardless, if considering Felix gave him a flat 7. But let's move on to N'Golo Kante. Other than that, he got injured, which I almost want to subtract 5 whole points from him, because I can't believe that he played so well and then got injured again. And we're going to miss him for probably 5, 4, 6, whatever weeks, 5, 4, 6, but multiple weeks now. And after he played as well as he did, it's even more annoying. I'm going to give him a 9. Like, I could even give him a 9.5. You know what? I'm even going to give him a 9.5. And while he played, he was absolutely out of this world today. Like the pressing was phenomenal, the tackling was phenomenal, the work rate was phenomenal, the runs were phenomenal, the movement was phenomenal. Even the pass to Sterling, which then Sterling back to Havertz, which Lloris made a great save of, and from which corner we scored. Even that pass to Sterling was really good. So even offensive passing, Conte was doing well today. And that's usually my biggest criticism with him. Brilliant. Absolutely phenomenal. N'Golo Kante, I'm proud. But then you got injured, so now I'm annoyed again. But other than that, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Clutch. Usually you and me are like, Kante could have done this and this better, and half the chat is absolutely at our throats. But do you agree that he was absolutely phenomenal today?
Yeah, I mean, that's the Conte that we are used to. That's the world-class Conte. The unfortunate part is you just can't play him as much as you do. Unfortunately for Tuchel, I think he probably should have subbed him off a little bit earlier. I know he was playing well, but Conte is just one of those players that, for whatever reason, he either plays 90 and then isn't not able to play the next 2 games, or he plays less than 90 and finds himself with an exploded hamstring or something, and then he can't play for a month. So, unfortunately, we have to manage Conte's minutes a lot more, and that's why, I mean, earlier on in the middle of the summer, I was like,
would have done if Kovacic was on the bench, but the problem is the other midfielder we have is also injured.
yeah, it is. That is the unfortunate part. I still just would have. I know Jorginho is tired, but you probably should have still subbed Conte, because now you don't have Conte. But that's all in hindsight. It doesn't matter at this point. For what he did on the field, yeah, he deserved the 9.5.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird, especially with Conte. Tuchel said after the game that Kante felt his hamstring too much. Not good. That tells me, if he said too much, that tells me he probably felt it before already. Because otherwise, how would you know it's too much?
And by the way,
I'm not saying Kante told anyone that he felt it, but clearly that tells me if the word too much is used, that tells me he felt it before already.
And also, by the way, the injury department needs to improve. Like Kovacic, I was told that he played the in-house game at Cobham on Monday. He played in that. So why was he playing if you knew that he was injured? And now they've come away and not put him in training, saying it's clearly too much for him. But like, he shouldn't be that hard to tell. You know he has an injury record. Just leave him. Just leave him for now. You don't need to play him. Let him have a rest for one more game, and then you won't miss him for another 3. But now we're going to be missing him for a while now. I don't know why he played that in-house game. It made no sense. If he wasn't ready to come off the bench against Goodison over Conor Gallagher or players like that, because he sat on the bench for that whole game, then how was he fit enough to play the in-house game the next day? It makes no sense, honestly.
Yeah, I don't really understand it either, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, mate. It's just weird. Why is this strange? Yeah. What? Anyways, ignore me for now. I will keep going. Felix, though, your rating for N'Golo Kante today?
Yeah, 9.5. Easy. It's his fault for getting injured, so no 10 for him. So 9.5. I love that performance, man. Honestly, great player.
Fair enough. I just realised that I saved the thumbnail and then I placed the wrong one. Anyway, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, because he was kind of right wing back, but obviously kind of this right forward role, or right central midfielder, right cam, whatever this position is called. No one really knows. Felix, you know what? I'll take it straight back to you while I try to figure out this thumbnail situation. What do you make of Ruben's performance today?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I just love Ruben. I've always been his biggest fan ever since the Sarri season, always backed him. Usually when he plays right wing back, he's more inverted than that. I was surprised. He actually was sticking to the touchline quite a lot. He wasn't making midfield runs, but his positioning was excellent. He was clearly listening tactically, wasn't letting anyone down that side. Even when Reece was man marking Son, he would cover where Reece was meant to be, when Reece had just run off to midfield to cover him. Going forwards, excellent dribbling past players. People talk about his final ball, which usually is a topic, but to be honest, I feel like most of the situations today, his final ball wasn't that bad. I thought Carragher was
he should have had an assist for Sterling. As much as he had to try to wiggle himself through it, he planned that pass to Sterling, and Sterling should have scored.
Yeah, so that situation there, I saw Carragher getting annoyed at Loftus-Cheek for not shooting, but I was like, he wasn't really that much of an opportunity, and then Sterling had a pretty much open goal to score, and he messed it up. So I was so happy for him. He gets a lot of weird disrespect in the fan base, Loftus-Cheek. I don't really get it. He's a very good utility player, especially you fit him in anywhere. and he's so unique. Like, he's so powerful. I love it. So I thought it was a great performance. For me, the rating probably a 9, maybe a 9.5, but I feel like probably 9 because, you know, he didn't get that goal or assist. If Sterling had scored that chance, maybe I'd give him a 9.5, but 9.
Fair play, you know. And I tweeted exactly this during the game, and that was even before his game got even better, I thought. Because there's so many fans, like the amount of tweets I got, because I, like yourself, I absolutely adore Ruben. So, like, the amount of tweets I get where I'm like, it's like, oh, I don't understand why Ruben is anywhere near the starting game. I'm like, I don't understand how you guys watch football. Like, you see him, and they act like he's awful. Like, they act like he's Werner or Alonso. I'm like I'm no one's ever said, and I've certainly never said that he's like world class, amazing, whatever he incredible is, right? He's not world class, but he's so good at so many things. Like, I know he sometimes messes things up, but people act like other players don't. I'm like, every player messes things up. Did you see Reece James last week? But no one will have a go at Reece James for the rest of the season. No one will remember that he was really bad against Everton. Loftus-Cheek got one of the worst injuries possible that you can literally have as a footballer. Worse than an ACL. Hudson-Odoi doesn't even make the squad anymore. Okay, he wasn't in the squad today. But last week, doesn't even make the squad. And people just people act like he's this clown. I don't get it. I would probably agree with your 9. Clutch, what will you go for? I mean, I would love to say 9.5, but I'd probably give him the 9. Clutch, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 9 too, I guess. The thing with Ruben that you sometimes get is it's his passing. It's slow. It sometimes comes too late. If he can work on that, he would be an absolute tremendous player. But you can tell, like, he's so good in tight spaces. There were so many times that somebody got him the ball up the field and he took the contact and got back and then kind of just like set the pace for the game. So he is really thriving under this role. So let's see how good he does. I'd just go ahead and give him the 9.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even like there were situations where he had to defend, where he defended properly, was right on it, like, you know, getting in the right positions. He was never caught positionally defensively either. Like, it was absolutely brilliant. Like, I'm so happy. And also the fact that when Jorginho was tired, Tuchel's first move wasn't to bring Gallagher on. His first move was to shift Ruben into midfield. Now, maybe it was with the whole plan to want Reece James at right wing back anyway. Maybe that was the whole idea because we had just conceded the equaliser. So fair enough. But regardless, that was still his move above Gallagher. And we're already experiencing what we experienced last season. Everyone going into the season, Ruben will be sold or not get any minutes. 2 weeks into the season, he was picked above Saul. Then Kovacic and Conte are injured all the season long, as they will be this season. We've already learned it. And then he will be playing regularly in all sorts of positions. And people are like, oh, we don't need him, sell him. I'm like, you absolute twat. But anyways, let's move on to Mason Mount. It's an interesting one today because he was good, but he most certainly could have been better. He had a chance in the first half where he shot just outside the box and he put it over. Obviously, it was nowhere near as bad as Sterling's miss from 10 yards closer, but it was still a situation where he should have done a bit better. And there was other situations. There was a shot at the very end when Gallagher fed him, although the pass by Gallagher wasn't very good, I will say. Where he dragged it just wide, and that would have been 3-1 at the time, and that would have put the game to bed. So that was a big chance, but I still think overall he played well. Now, we gave Cucurella an 8. I'll start with you, Clutch. Do you think Mount was worse than Cucurella?
No, I thought he was better, actually. I thought he had a lot of good touches. 8.5. He had a lot of good touches. He linked up well, especially with Havertz over there when Havertz did drift over to him. And he got himself out of a lot of good tight spaces that normally you don't see Mount. You're not like, hey, he's a good dribbler. But today he actually had a lot of good first touches and a lot of good moments where he got out of situations and pushed the ball forward. So I give him an 8.5.
There's a lot of if I look at the chat here, I've seen a Mount 7.5, a 3, a 7, an 8, a 7, a 7.5, a 7, 7 or 8, a 5, an 8.
Because he didn't score an assist and people just want to lose it about it. Like, calm down. Literally. Stop. It's not about scoring and assisting all the time. I know you have that in your head, but stop. It's what they do. It's not like they didn't control the game. Yes, they had times when they didn't
even play as a proper forward today either, so you can't even say that.
He was literally a
essentially
10.
played the
He was
left
doing the
version
10
of what
role.
Ruben played. So
No, literally, like people don't appreciate just because you don't score or assist. He was pulling players out of position. He was picking up pockets in between the lines, allowing us to progress, linking up with Cucurella. Like 8.5 and 8 is a very fair rating. But you know what it is with Mount. He's good and he's English, so he has a weird cult that hate him. That's basically how it works. So I don't know. It's weird.
and I agree with this. I think he was the best of the front three personally. But I still don't think he was absolutely amazing. I was thinking between 7.5 and 8 personally. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I was going to say 7.5 or 8. I think 8.5, like, that's a bit much because I don't think he had that proper effect on the game. Like he didn't even have an opportunity where you were like, oh, he should have had an assist there from memory. He didn't. Even that didn't happen. So I think it's 7.5 or an 8. I say an 8. I think 7.5 is a bit low. But yeah,
I think we're well suited if we end up giving him an 8. Shall we do Raheem Sterling first? Raheem Sterling. So no, the best thing he did today was that back heel to Havertz, and that was a 1 yard back heel. Really. Other than that, he tried to sprint to hold across the whole pitch. Got tired by the end. Had one huge chance and missed it. But still, people will focus on hating on Mount and Havertz. Now, am I saying Sterling was bad? No. But was he great? Absolutely not. And he missed the sitter. So I'm debating between a 6.5 and a 7. Felix, what would you think for Sterling?
Sterling, I don't know if this is just me because he's a new signing, but I didn't come away from this game thinking Sterling was bad. I feel like almost just having him there.
Me neither.
Sorry?
Me neither. Hence why,
No, I know, but some people were like coming at me like when I tweet being like Sterling's been awful. But I almost didn't even think that he could be awful because his pace alone and his quality to be able to dribble is just almost so astounding to me because I haven't seen it since Hazard that when he does it once, I think that he's a god. And I wasn't even a big fan of the Sterling.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes, he did assist him. As much as it was an easy assist, he did.
Assist. Yeah, I was so scared because he looked up to shoot. He was about to shoot, and thankfully Reese clearly gave him a big shout. I'd give him a 7 because I do feel like I think if you put him above Jorginho or on the same, even though Jorginho made that mistake, is too much because he didn't have that much effect on the game.
Because we were amazing in midfield and not amazing up front. So
exactly, his quality, honestly, of running around is enough for me. Like at least he does something. So 7.
But he helps. Like he's such a difference compared. Like obviously he's a completely different type of player, but still such a difference to like Lukaku in terms of how we press when this is our front three. Like Havertz has his issues. We know. We'll get to him in a second.
Yeah.
But with this 3 and 4 and the way Kante had the energy to basically help with the press high up, and then when Kante went, Ruben dropped. But when Ruben went to press, Kante stayed. Like it just all worked brilliantly. And this what today happened is finally I'm like, this is what I wanted from Tuchel. Finally, we're doing things where I'm like, this looks worked on. We're beating an opposition by moving, by movement, by pressing, by passing. That's what we were doing today. Yes, it didn't come off at the end, the finish. But I'd still rather like that than us square it around left, right, like we did all day at Everton. Now, I understand Everton obviously set up a little bit differently. But even then, Spurs had every single player, including Harry Kane, within 25 yards of their own goal in the first half. And still we moved them round a trillion times better than we did ever throughout the whole 100 minutes with all sorts of injury time at Everton last week. Clutch. 2 7s then in the end. I think I'm going to give him the 7 for Sterling. Would you give him that 7 as well? Or do you think it was a bit better, potentially a bit worse?
I'll start with, I think he probably should have had 2 assists with the back heel. Havertz probably should have put that away. It's a tight angle.
No, I think that's harsh. I think it's a great save.
He did save it, didn't he? Never mind then.
Yeah. We scored from the very following corner. That's when Koulibaly scored the volley from that corner.
Well, he had 6 dribble attempts and 0 of them were successful. And he had 9 ground duels and 1 out of them, and 1 of them won. So I'm going to go 6.5.
Fair enough. We're going to stick to the 7 overall then, because obviously 2v1. But still think it's fair. Like I say, I was debating those two. Kai Havertz. Now, in the first half...
Can I butt in for 1 second? Because I've just read something crazy that I'm sure you'll love to hear. This video is going round. Timo Werner was at Stamford Bridge today from the stands. What a guy, honestly.
Well, in
video.
Yeah.
Like
surely he's just moving all his stuff across, right? Surely but I feel like that's such a nice guy. That he's like watching the game. He
He's proper Chelsea, isn't he? We can move on to Havertz, but
He is proper Chelsea.
Yeah,
I blame Timo. That's why we bought it. If Timo weren't here,
honestly, I'd say I'm happy he wasn't on the pitch today.
probably Alonso was also somewhere, hiding somewhere. That would explain everything. I'm sorry. Nah. But shout out to Timo.
Yeah.
Did you? I'm sure everyone saw his goal yesterday. I mean, it was. I would say those goalie things only happen in the Bundesliga, but then David De Gea proved me wrong half an hour later.
What was that goal, man? Honestly,
but
I couldn't believe it.
When have you ever seen Werner shoot from 30 yards at Chelsea? Have you ever seen that before? Ever?
Actually,
I've never seen that.
I saw him. I'm sure him shoot from long range once, and it also ended up on a goal. His last goal ever for Chelsea against Arsenal. Do you remember? It took a deflection and went in. So clearly, he should do that more often because every time he shoots from long range, he gets lucky. I don't know.
It is true, but that was even further. Like the one against Arsenal was actually the ball, wasn't it? But yeah, there you go. Let's take it back to Kai Havertz, though. Like I say, first half, like there was moments where I still need a bit more from you. I didn't see enough from him, other than that one chance, obviously that Clutch was talking about for Sterling's potential assist in that situation. But then I don't know. I feel like he got into it more and more and more. And I feel like he definitely got better and better and better as the game went on. He had this wonderful at the edge of at the byline backheel flick directly to a teammate, which kept possession from a really tight area. I was like, brilliant stuff. That's exactly what I want to see. Like silky German, that's what we say. I want to see volley backheel flick that comes off. That's the kind of generational talent I thought we bought 2 years ago. It doesn't feel like it now, but that's what we thought last year. And that backheel pass, I'm like, that's what I was hoping for. That's exactly what I want to see. And then he started going past players. He should have won a clear foul, but instead Spurs scored. Obviously, none of that is Kai Havertz's fault. Like Felix touched on earlier, even though it was the linesman on the other side, he won such a clear corner as well with a good press. And the linesman initially got it wrong, but fair play. Anthony Taylor actually saw that one from way further away, which just makes it even worse for the assistant, if I'm honest. But yeah, then he obviously had a huge miss. Like, again, I have to go back to what I crossed by Reece James. Absolutely phenomenal. But like, it's his strong foot. He had so much power on it. He didn't even have to add any power. He just had to direct it. And unfortunately, directed it wide. Now, is it difficult because the cross came in with so much power? Of course it is. But he's a £72 million player. He's an absolute superstar in terms of talent. Like, he hasn't shown it for too long, unfortunately, but it's clearly in there. And he scored much more difficult chances than that one. And he balled it. Now, obviously, because Reece James scored a minute later, if Havertz scores his, Reece James doesn't score his. So in terms of scoreline, Havertz's miss probably doesn't change anything because of when in the game it happened, right? So Havertz's miss kind of didn't cost us anything today. But yeah, like, he got better and better. He won more headers. He stayed strong. He, other than the finishing, it was much better. Like, at least that's a performance where I'm like, okay, we can go on from here, and I'm okay with you starting another game after you playing like this. While after Everton, I'm like, I don't understand how you even... Today, when the team came out, I was like, I don't even understand how you're anywhere near the team, if I'm honest.
Well, the thing is with Havertz, I was really disappointed with him in the first game, but to be honest, I think that was more on Tuchel. I don't know why he decided to play Havertz on the left wing and then the right wing and put him so far out wide. It was something I said before this game he can't do. And that's what I loved about this game. He moved Mount to a more central and deeper position. He made Havertz more central, brought him in aerially. So, like, I agree that the Everton game was horrible, but I almost don't even blame him because he was just played out of position. This game, at least we saw him getting involved. That was the point. That finish, like, he needs to score that. I played striker. I used to play striker, and that finish is not hard. Honestly, it doesn't matter how fast the ball is. All you need, every commentator says, is just get something on it. That's what they always say. And he got
something on it. Just put it
somehow missed it. Yeah, I honestly don't know how. But at least he got involved. As I said, aerially very good. Link up play very good. And also, for the first time ever, I actually saw him beating his man. Like, there were a couple of times where he genuinely was one-on-one with the guy.
Properly beat his man, yeah. Like, dribbled past him. I was like, excuse me, who are you and what could onto Kai Havertz?
Exactly. Yeah. No, honestly, like, one step over and pass. Like, he'll never do it off the wing because he's just not that type of player, but a quick movement, and today he had it. So, yeah, it was refreshing to see. Now, please, mate, add goals to your game. Like, please, I'm begging. He's so good at getting in the right positions, but he can't do the rest.
But Felix, what rating would you give Havertz then? Because I'm struggling. I'm not sure. Like, I kind of want to. Now that I look at it, I'm kind of not even sure if I'm happy with Sterling's rating. Maybe I'm going to change my mind and go to Clutches.
Yeah, I think
6.5
Well-
because maybe I want to give Havertz a 7 because I think Havertz was better than Sterling, but I don't think he was a 7.5. So
I also don't think that Mount was a whole rating higher than Havertz though. I almost think Mount should be 7.5, Havertz should be 7, and Sterling 6.5.
yeah.
That's how I do it. But yeah, well,
I see what you're saying, but I do think Mount did more than the both of them, if I'm honest. But
I agree. But I'm
so
saying,
would
if
you
this
go
was
for the 7 for
screenshot-
Havertz though? Sorry.
Yeah. I feel like, but what I'm saying is, if this was screenshotted on Twitter, it would go around. But as usual, no context, people would go crazy. It's just how it is. So yeah,
There you go. I mean, the chat would obviously be at our throats now because there will be a lot like 3s and 0s and whatever. But again, the miss is bad, of course. But Kai's miss didn't actually change anything because Reece James scored 2 minutes later. And if you understand football, if you score a big a goal, you don't like the whole same situation for Reece James's goal doesn't even happen, right? So Reece James's goal doesn't happen if Havertz scores his. But Clutch, 2 7s for our end. What would you say?
I'd probably go along with the 7. You make a lot of good points. I thought he was pretty decent today. I think he was better than Sterling. He was taking on dribbles and actually successfully doing them. I think his only bad moment was probably the miss. And I mean,
It's true. That was probably his only bad moment, if I'm honest. Yeah.
So I don't know why people are faulting him for that. I do get where people are talking about like other players would be absolutely grilled for that. It's not like Havertz has not been grilled for the last month and a half. So.
Yeah, I feel like everyone always says Havertz gets defended so much. I'm like, I feel like all Havertz has been getting since April is getting grilled for everything constantly. That's what I feel like. I feel like if anything, Havertz by this point is getting a bit too much stick compared to other players. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, let's finish it off with the 7. I do have to hurry it up a little bit. I do apologize. Now, we made 4 subs. Did any of them play long enough for you guys to want to give them a rating, or shall we just give them a conclusive NA because none of them were on the pitch for long enough to really... I mean, Aspie was good, but what rate would I give him? I'd just probably give him a 7 or something.
I'd say Aspie was good in terms that he facilitated us to move Reece James to our own back, and also he had that moment when he was on the run or something, and he got
but with Richarlison, he mugged him right off. That was brilliant.
Yeah, but the bit, mate, honestly, I didn't know Pulisic came on. You putting that on? I had no idea he was on. So, and he was on for a while too.
Didn't see the same as
he was on for 5 minutes.
Either of them.
I thought he was on.
That's over Pulisic is when the guy tried to clear, he shot it straight at Pulisic and it hit his hand, and they got
our first sub was made at the 75th minute.
Yeah, so
I mean, also on the basis of today, though, Clash, usually we agree that we do the subs too late. How we play today, I have no problems with not making subs. Why would you change anything with how brilliant we were? But
when the other team starts making changes,
maybe a tad late because Spurs changed things. But we needed to see. I understand Tuchel in essence because Spurs brought Richarlison, changed the shape. You need to see a little bit. Okay, what exactly do Spurs do now? The manager also needs a few minutes to see what they do to know what we need to do against it. Like you can't just know 2 seconds later, right? So, and I think he did do that. So it just happened to be after the goal. But I think the sub would have happened regardless and had nothing to do with the goal directly. And the goal shouldn't have stood. If the referee was normal, we would have made the sub at 1-0 and everything would have been fine. Do you know what I mean? So I think he did okay. But what would both of you, first Felix, would you give him a 7, Aspie, or would you go for something different?
No, 7's good, man. I think he didn't have enough time to do anything else, and he did what he was asked to do. Nothing else he could have done. It wasn't a Thomas Souček moment from a corner where he was marking the tallest guy on the pitch. It wasn't his fault that we conceded. So 7's good.
Clutch for you as well, or would you go a bit lower than that?
Yeah, you can give him a 7 and NA for everybody else for me.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, NA, but
Gallagher was okay. We can give Gallagher a rating if we want.
I would give Gallagher a rating because I think that even though he didn't have that much time, he did have 2 moments where he could have scored, but it wasn't moments where it's his fault he didn't score, but he still got there. So I would give him a rating, probably a 7. I don't want to go too high. I mean, if you give Gallagher like an 8, then it's just he didn't have enough time to have an 8. And as we said, if he was on the pitch for longer,
to be fair, so I'm not sure if you've noticed, but so what I do with the subs, I give them like a rating with the star because it's not comparable to the players that actually played the majority of the game.
Because if Gallagher played more than like 10 minutes, that pivot would have been exposed. So, I mean, if you're going off what he did on the pitch, you can give him an 8. But I think 7.5 is a good balance. We can leave that's a good one there.
Fair dues. And Clutch, what did you make of Gallagher's cameo today? Like, I know Felix and also Pies obviously keep saying it. He doesn't rate them in a pivot. Now, obviously, you can say it wouldn't have worked if we did that for the majority of the game, which might be fair. But at the same time, I feel like how often has he played in a pivot, right? So Obviously, now the first few times that he plays it, he will not be as good. But the more he plays it, the better he will be. Just like Ruben at wingback, the more he plays there, the better he will get. Just like Mount being in a front three, the more he played there, the better he got. Like, obviously, that will happen. So I think the longer Gallagher is used in this capacity, the better he will also be at that position, personally. But I thought he did well today. The only thing you saw it in him today, that he wanted to score, but he was like, I need to pass this to Mount. And then it took him too long. He messed up the pass, and that's why Mount couldn't make it 3-1 at the time. But this is not really one where I fault Gallagher much for, because like this is his first ever appearance at Stamford Bridge, I'm pretty sure, in a competitive game. So like I can't fault it too much. But Clutch, what did you make of Gallagher?
I pretty much agree with everything you say. I think Tuchel's plan for Gallagher is you have Conte, Jorginho, and Kovacic normally, so that way you can kind of ease Gallagher into that role. Unfortunately, that's not how it works, because two of them are injury prone more than anybody else I've ever seen in my life. So he's going to end up having to step in and play that role. But at least it's Jorginho that he's going to be playing with. So it's not going to be like him and Conte, who Gallagher's going to have to be the one that sits back. So he's going to learn the position a lot quicker sitting next to Jorginho if he's got to play it there. But it's all about learning it. I don't think you can fault him too much. There are times when it's going to suck for him because he doesn't know it, but I think when you play a position or a player out of position, then you got to give them room to grow in that position.
Fair enough. And the last one before we finish this off, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I haven't even reminded you of this today, and I should have done. But please do subscribe. We're nearly at 15,000 subscribers. We had over 500 people earlier, now it's 300, but still. So I appreciate all 300 of you that are still here. Please do subscribe. That would be phenomenal. Just hit that big red subscribe button down below. Just one click of a button doesn't cost you any money. Just down there to your bottom right. So just click that, whether you're on your phone, desktop, iPad, tablet, whatever sorts of thing you're watching it on. And if you're on a TV somehow, on a smart TV, there's also a subscribe button. It's not an excuse not to subscribe. And if you don't have a Google account, I keep saying this, it's 2022. Make yourself a Google account, right? Deal with it and give me a new subscription. Smash the like button as well on your way out. But Thomas Tuchel. Now, I tweeted it at halftime and it hasn't changed. Now, maybe the subs were a tad late, but do I think those potential sub changes would have changed how the game has gone? No, on today's basis, I really don't think that. I think Tuchel was spot on today. And like I say, I've been very critical of him over the last few weeks, but I firmly stand by when praise is due, I will praise. And when criticism is due, I will criticize. I see myself as that. Maybe sometimes people think I'm not as objective as I claim to be or as I think I am, but I think I am. And today, I think I can only be full of praise. Felix, would you agree?
Easy 10. Like, he did literally everything. He did the Mourinho run down the touchline. He didn't let Conte do his thing over him. Yeah, and tactically, like, everything was spot on. He literally set Reece James on a man-marking mission, and it still worked out. Mount was dropping deep, everything. It was honestly perfect. I was so happy with him. And I'm so happy because I always have this problem that sometimes managers or even players, they aren't the fans and they don't know sometimes how much games mean to us. And recently I get scared going into Tottenham because I'm like, do they know like how big of a deal it is to play Tottenham and how important it is to win? But Tuchel gets it so much, man. He knows how big of a deal Tottenham is and he took it so seriously today. And honestly, incredible performance, 10 out of 10. Honestly, 11 out of 10. I don't care. Break the system. What incredible.
The only thing I want to know is, I know obviously certain things is somewhat adjustable or adapted to Tottenham, but we play so well when we play against Tottenham. Like every time pretty much. Like this time we didn't win, I get that, but we still played really well.
No, it
Why
is true.
don't we apply this kind of system more regularly? Why did we against Everton stick to this so pragmatic, so static, constantly flat 3-4-3? Why do we do that? I don't. Surely against everyone, and the deeper the opposition sits, surely the more flexibility in positioning you have, surely the easier you make it to break teams down because you spread them and you pull them apart. So that's the only thing I don't understand. But who knows? Maybe against Leeds we'll do it again. Clutch, 10 for you as well, or were the subs a bit too late for you to give him a 10?
Since I'm being told that all I do is agree with you, I'm going to go 9.5. He was not quite as sharp as he could have been today.
No, but see, Clutch, you're taking this all wrong. The reason why Clutch is agreeing with me is because we're both correct. That's why. Like, if I said 2 + 2 is 4, and Clutch also said 2 + 2 is 4, is he agreeing with me, or is he just saying the correct thing. See?
I'm being a sheep, so I'm just going to keep being a sheep. Go ahead and give him a 10.
There you go. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you all. I really appreciate Felix and Clutch for coming on today. Also, Con, and I really hope his dog gets better. But yeah, we need to round this out because I need to leave soon. I need to hop in the shower, and I'm a lot going on. So I need to finish this out here, ladies and gentlemen. But like I say, an unfortunate day. A very, very unfortunate day because we bought it. The referee robbed us, and I'm annoyed. But I still... weirdly, kind of, now that I've kind of let my steam off a little bit, I kind of probably feel a little bit better by now than I did last week after we beat Everton. Because we played so well that I feel like, okay, we just got robbed by the ref. Like, under normal circumstances, we just win this, and I'm super happy. So, in a weird way, I'm less annoyed than I am last week. I know that sounds strange because I personally always prefer... I don't know. I need us to play well. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't play well every game. And I usually prefer the points. But we were so bad against Everton and so good today that, you know, I feel it. I feel it. Ladies and gentlemen, one last time, please do subscribe if you haven't already. It would be wonderful if we could hit 15,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Smash that like button and please do check out Felix's new channel on YouTube. He's recently started making YouTube videos. The link is down in the description. So please do subscribe to him. Help him get to 1,000 subscribers as quickly as we possibly can make that happen.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, mate.
Appreciate
Thank you for coming on.
Honestly.
There you go. There you go. Follow him on Twitter as well, just as you should follow Clutch on Twitter. And of course, also check out Con. Just because you had to leave early doesn't mean you shouldn't follow him. So please do. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chels, upwards and onwards. F. Anthony Taylor, F. Mike Dean, and we'll see you next time.